Ms. Sawyer?
Here.
Ms. Hazel? Ms. Carvo? Here. Ms. Email? She's on her way. And Ms. Ritchie is out of town and had the emergency.
She was intending to be here, but
You have a form.
thank you. First, we have approval of the minutes from April 26th. You all got copies of them. So do we have a motion to approve the minutes from April 26th?
Second.
Any discussion on those minutes? Any corrections, additions? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Under old business, my report, I have been interviewing students recently out of school for a position we have open in the office. And what I've learned is that a lot of them don't know that they can sit for the first part of the NCIQ. So I'm wondering how we might want to reach out to the schools a little bit better so that the information about they can sit for the exam gets out. So I think the interviews enlightened me to the fact that we probably need to get the word out also about the intern interior designer. So unfortunately TL's not here to maybe make some recommendations about what we can do.
This is Joanne.
Oh.
Hi, we were just calling to see where you were. You're on your way. Okay, we'll see you. Thanks. One C as in cat. Uh-huh. It's Florida Street, 1C. Okay, all right, thanks, bye.
So my question is, how might we better reach out to the universities to get this information to the students so that when they graduate, they've got an idea that they can actually sit for the first part of the
Do
exam?
we know for a fact that that information has been given to the head of the department in each case? In each of the schools?
I'm not sure we do. Do we have a listing of the department heads for each of the schools?
Yes. So, yeah, we can definitely do that. I'm thinking also that these designers should be employed by one of our licensees. So we could do an email blast to our licensees and spread the word and tell them if they have an employee.
Or know of someone.
Or know of someone.
Well, and also, yeah, to do two things. One is the sitting for the exam part, and the second thing is the intern interior design
Yes.
part.
I think we could do both through an email blast and send it to the department heads.
And we may want to each take a turn to contact the department head.
That would just be the first step,
Mhm.
just emailing to make sure that they at least have been given the information in some form. But yeah, personal contact would be vital, I think. You really want to get the message to the right people. Because somebody who gets the email may not pass it along to the person that really needs to know or whatever. You know, emails are not necessary.
And we do have it posted on the website, right, Sandy? Or do we? Not only the intern interior design, but sitting for the exam.
The sitting for the exam, no, we do not have NCIDQ information per se on our website. What it does is it
Links
directs
to?
them, it links to the website, to NCIDQ for the IDEP program as well as testing information.
And speaking of the IDEP program, we probably haven't had a lot of inquiries about mentors and supervisors recently. I mean, what's the status of that?
Well, anyone looking for a mentor or a supervisor can locate them directly through the maps on our website, so they don't contact me. So I don't
Has
know.
anybody been contacted regarding that?
Well, I'm the mentor, but only because there's a local intern in our area who coached me. Of course, that was something I wanted to do.
I think part of the problem now is that the economy is so bad, a lot of the recent graduates are not getting jobs. So, you know, I think that's another reason to encourage them to sit for the exam, so that they can stay connected and that they can actually improve their resume by being able to pass that first section of the exam. So, it's like, but maybe she has some recommendations on how to, what's involved in doing it, and then we can come back and look at it again.
So I don't even know if they're putting this, I think somebody was putting out, maybe NCIDQ putting out some sort of information as far as what you need to study it.
Yeah. There's plenty of references and practice problems on the NCIDQ website.
Okay,
So I think there's a lot of material there for studying.
right.
But it does help one-on-one,
Oh, yeah.
face-to-face, with your peers in training, so. Let me do some research on that before the next meeting, and we'll put that on the agenda.
There's nothing else we could also offer, that sort of training is continuing education, because it's all relevant to health, safety, and health. As I
I
understand.
think that's an excellent comment.
So you specifically want the step class on the agenda, or reaching out to the schools?
I think the step class in particular.
Okay.
We need to chase that down and see if that's something that ASID is not doing anymore, or they're not.
No, they're not,
participating.
they're not,
They're
they're not,
not.
they're not.
They're not at all. Okay,
And the
so-
only places these courses are offered are when local chapters pool resources, and they've got people locally that have been doing the training, so.
So independent of anybody else, they just put them on
Right.
for the benefit of
But there's no-
anyone who might be taking that class.
There's no guarantee, yeah, that there's one, and that's something that, again, if I send a letter and say, if you don't have a license, you can't do this, when they're eligible otherwise, they just need to take the exam and pass it. That's what I would do, I say, get in touch with, so-and-so or the ASID chapters, and get into the STEP program, that way you can vote up as, it's scary for someone who's been out of school for a while to come back and partake in it. When I say for a while, 10 years or more. So.
Right, and IIDA does have a preparatory class, but I'm not sure that they have offered it very often in at least our
Well,
section.
you have to have people that are willing to pay the X amount of dollars for the candidates for the test, and then to sign up and say, I want to take it and participate. So it's kind of like a
Sandy, administrative report.
Yeah, I just had one thing, as you know, you and I were on a conference call yesterday, and we were talking about just in general how to educate the public and get across what interior designers do. And there was something that was said on the call that has really been like working in my brain, even though I've been around, I'm not an interior designer, but I've been around the profession for more than 20 years. Heidi said something about hospital curtains.
Mm-hmm.
And you know how at the top they're mesh? Okay, well y'all all know
Cubicle
why.
curtains,
Y'all
right.
all know why they're mesh. I never knew why they were mesh. And she said something about she had gone to some hospital and discovered that the cubicle curtains weren't, and she pointed out to them the fact that the sprinkler can't do its job. And I've just kind of been thinking about that because that's something that you guys take for granted that you do. But when we talk about protecting the health, safety, and welfare of the public, we don't know that that's what you do because you take for granted that that's what you do. And a lot of the debate is designers just make things pretty. Well, no, because really anybody, if you had to choose aesthetics, a gorgeous patterned fabric that would go from ceiling to floor, or the ugly mesh down however many feet, 18 inches, and then the fabric, if you were going for aesthetics, which
Yeah,
one
and
would
you
you
have to
pick?
have 2 feet or so you can see legs and see somebody's falling down.
Yeah, so if you were just doing what looked pretty, which one would you pick?
Well, all the way
The one that
up.
was gorgeous fabric, like you would do in your bedroom window or whatever, right?
Yeah,
But it takes a credentialed interior designer to know that you don't go for the aesthetic, you go for the,
So the question
Yeah.
is how to capture this information so that we can.
right. So it's getting those kinds of things that you guys all take for granted,
But an uneducated.
that you don't,
Decorator do not
instead,
know to do.
Instead, the terminology is we protect the health, safety, and welfare of the public. We need to get down to examples, is what I've been thinking about since that call yesterday. So,
Yes.
Along that vein, we had talked about, this might not be the place for it, but I was trying to conceive of those cartoon drawings.
Me too. I did get a chance to call you and I
We
apologize.
need
but I missed it.
narratives, we need a framework, an outline. I can get Gary to draw anything, but I can't just say, Gary, draw something. I kind of need a narrative.
sure you will.
I need a flow from beginning to end, what we want to tell, the story we want to tell, the information we want to get across. Then we could actually have little illustrations on each page.
And that's sort of what we're talking about here, is trying to identify specific instances that you could use.
As an example. person that we need to draw.
We just need to have
Very
it.
good.
Yeah, we just need some content.
But we need content. I was gonna get him to do something quickly because it's so fast.
You're also gonna have to consider each profession that you cover, like the hospital, is a whole different ballgame from an office building.
Right.
Where you're not including and things like that. So
But there's
you've
a whole
got, you've got to have focal points for each one of those areas in which you're associated in order to come up with anything that's
And then
needed.
hospitality would be again,
In an office, like for instance, I just finished reviewing a drawing where we were doing exiting for a potential tenant in an office building. And we had to do 3 or 4 sets of calculations to determine the exiting required and all that. So, you know, the codes that we go through for the office occupancy is not necessarily the same
For a
for a hospital.
Yeah,
So I
but the
think-
public doesn't know that, so that's
Yeah.
another thing that you guys take for granted that you do, but you don't tell people that you do it.
You know, and that's what I've been saying lately is that, you know, I'm a layperson. I have no clue. When she said that, I was like, that, and I realized it was there. But that's the sort of thing, we need to have some examples, you know.
I can do another one, assembly. You know, if you do
Another situation is I've been involved with banks
banks,
for
I'm
a
doing
number
banks.
of years. And that's a whole different ballgame that you've got to consider. A lot of other things that go on in that area that are about security and what have you, that you don't know there.
And the technology is going to
That's
pick up,
right.
because there's all kinds of new technology that they're using for
Yeah, they're
security
really,
purposes.
they're getting away from tellers altogether.
Yes. And they're
So it's
getting into.
The pace of the bank is changing radically in the next 20
Mhm. So all of these are going to impact, you know, what an interior designer does. But as a layperson, you know, we all go to interior decorators, and that's
How
not
do
what it is.
how do we tackle it? How do we get from where we are now to where we want to be, which is a piece of literature or something in hand or a
That
message
explains
that
what
we
we
want to
do.
tell? Yeah.
Well, and there's a number of ways of doing it. You can do a PowerPoint all the way up to a full plan, stuff.
If we had the images, then we could translate them in a number of media. But it's getting the
It's
message
getting the
organized,
content.
content
Well,
wise.
after our discussion yesterday, I went back and looked at the YouTube on the wall stuff. And if you want images, they have all kinds of warnings for you,
Yeah.
because it shows the ladies jumping off the top of the
Oh,
wall
goodness.
stuff.
That's
But,
not
but
good.
that was an exiting issue, and that was, and if you're drawing it, you can make it look not quite so obvious. But that was an exiting issue that's not reflected, because that's, you know, when you ask me, that's the first thing that comes to mind as an issue that occurred in Louisiana. It was a long time ago, so young people are not realizing it. So, my suggestion was, you know, that's some place to start. But that's a very striking image, but I'd have to relate it to
Roth, R-O-T-H.
R-A-L-T. But I should say there, I put to work that in context, I understand.
But you know, I think one of the things we could do, each one of us in our content areas, come up with things that are not necessarily instances of harm, but instances of avoidance of harm.
Yeah.
Like for instance, that cubicle curtain
Has a reason.
has a reason. And so had it not been caught, it could have caused something. So there's a lot of things that we do preventive.
And here's another thing about that whole situation, and I told this to the fire marshal to face many years ago when I was on that committee, but we're talking about these cubicle curtains, you would say, oh, well, that's a fire marshal thing because the sprinklers aren't going to function. Hello, nobody comes from the fire marshal's office after occupancy's been granted.
And that is where
nobody
the,
checks.
that's where the licensed interior designer needs to be involved.
Well,
Because there isn't another professional on the job site.
No, what happens is that the state, I think in this case that I was talking about, came in and fined the hospital a large amount of money for being in violation. So, you know, this is to help business, this is to help individual businesses avoid this liability under ADA, under the
And that's
NFPA.
another whole
So they had,
reason.
they had the fines, and then they had to replace all of their
So you're not
curtains.
only putting the public at risk, but you're putting your clients' liability.
Oh, well, we don't need to say that.
that.
You would think, but
Yeah,
not,
you would
not
think.
No,
necessarily.
no, one of the first cases I had here was a whole hospital was done by.
Road, registered interior designer on like 2 different megaphones, and inside the middle of one that's frontwards, what does it mean? And then to come back with what designers do. I mean, I don't know if that would be,
You know, I think that's eye-catching.
I mean, it's kind of like, you know, just doing like 2 big megaphones and one in the middle and saying, what do licensed interior designers do, or registered interior designers do? And, you know, and then you could do like show boards from the kids, you could, you know, you could pass out, like brochures, if you're working on hospitals, if that's these are some of the things that designers know what has to be done. And then you could go from there. Then I did another one like just this head with a magazine, and just a thought that was like decorator, designer, interior designer, licensed interior designer. What is it? And then maybe we could explain. So just to get
a framework.
just a framework on,
Those are good ideas.
you know, so I did, because you gotta get somebody's attention, and if we did like big, bright colored something, and then if people would come up and say, well, what is it? You know, I'm just, that
I
was,
like that idea. Interesting.
I think so.
so I mean, these are dumb drawings that I'm sure you guys could do it, but Kinko could like put them on, like vinyl, and we could just hang them, you know, and they would be big, like big, maybe giant size or a little bigger than life size. And then that would at least get your attention, and then we could put boards from the kids. This is, you know, these are educated people. These are things that go on in school. You need, you're registered, you take the exams, you're up on everything, you know. And so you need to make sure that your person is licensed or registered. You know, so I'm just thinking that that would maybe start something.
Well, is that something that maybe your person can?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
You give it a facial expression and some personality.
Right, and then we can help fill in the blanks about the particulars from our
And
specialty.
my guy too will have some ideas about it. He's only been in this for 25 years, so
So he's probably got some
Yes,
ideas.
that's fine. Yeah, okay, good. I
Right.
think all those are good
I
ideas.
do too.
All right.
I mean, I just think that we have to do,
We have to
we have
start
to build,
somewhere.
yeah, we have
We
to
have to-
build around
Every-
something.
Maybe every meeting you can come with some more.
Because I mean, I'm residential, and I don't have all those codes. In fact, there's really not many codes in residential that I can, at least that they adhere to, or that the fire marshal comes and checks, or whatever. But I mean, you know, it's like tiles, the spacing on tiles and stuff, and
There's a
bathrooms
lot of
and
health
showers.
issues involved
Yeah.
with residential design.
Yeah,
And so that could be the key, you know.
And it may not be that it
Oh.
may not be that it is a requirement legally.
yes,
But with the aging in place issues, that directly involves residential design. So it may be a choice that people need to know, that if you
That
hire a
exists.
registered interior
Yeah.
designer, you can have the advantage of giving information about aging in place or staying in your home that you wouldn't have.
Or particularly, people that are highly allergic.
Well,
Or
I think
any
of,
other.
I think of banisters and things just because of my children. And I've been in some homes where the people have,
yeah,
you
you
know,
have a
been
code.
creative and done whatever
yeah.
they wanted, and my child could easily have fallen from the second floor of their house down.
Well,
because-
usually it checks that
They
though.
do.
I mean, you know, when you build, I don't know what,
Not when you build it yourself.
No. See, if you're doing interior changes, you really should go get a permit, but not everybody does.
okay, I didn't realize, I mean, I've worked on houses where we had to make sure the banisters were, you know, I mean, we designed some banister rails and stuff, and I'm
Right,
like,
and you have,
but they have code, I
here
mean,
to code.
yeah, but it's a new
To
house,
the spacing,
you
yeah.
know, it's a new house, so.
But things like that are issues, so.
Yeah, yeah.
Even residential. All right, well, let's see if we can
Let's see
push
if we
this
can
along a little
put,
bit
yeah,
more.
bring something to the table next time. I felt bad that I didn't actually have something to bring with me.
Well, I think we've got a good jumping off point with Joanne, so I think that's good.
And I'm gonna apologize because I meant to call you, but I just, I haven't stopped, I'm sorry, and I apologize, and I,
Not a problem, not a problem. So the other thing is, we might want to, in our own specialty areas, make a listing of all the codes and standards that we have to adhere to.
I'll send you guys an
Just
email.
an outline.
You know, like the life safety code 101 sections, whatever the sections are that I deal with a lot. You know, because you deal with different sections of the life
Say
safety
the
code.
river around sprinklers the last while.
We all go various issues. All right, so that's very good. We'll look at that again at the next meeting. Anything else? Legal report, Anna?
Really all I have today, we don't have a disciplinary report today. I think we're having a disciplinary meeting probably next month, so we'll get that and we'll have a report for next meeting. I have provided, however, with regard to our ongoing regulations, I provided a copy of everyone, the NCIDQ Model Act and definitions. It has the reflective ceilings that we talked about, definitions, as well as some others that we had talked, I was hoping that y'all would provide to me. So when I happened to just go into this looking for something else, I said, this is actually everything. So if, now
What's
remember.
it called? NCIDQ, right?
Yeah, I gave you a copy, you should have
It's their
one.
model.
It's their model. Remember, what I'm doing is creating something that's a legal framework for defining what y'all do, which, as you know, has changed. We discussed that over the last 20 some odd years.
Yeah.
So, because we have sustainability, we have aging in place issues that weren't there originally. So if you want to go ahead and look at this, I've also provided you a copy of what we had done up to this day. So if you know, it's not on the agenda today, so we don't need to discuss it.
Right, but I think the task force needs to move this along.
Yes.
So those of you that are on the task force, maybe we can use this information and get Anna the information she needs to complete the rules and regs.
And let me say this, what I'm gonna do is, if I don't get anything by the next meeting or is on the agenda, I'm gonna plug this in.
Okay,
You know, so if you don't give me anything, this is what we're gonna use, so please look at this and give me comments if you think that there is something that needs to be added or subtracted. What we said.
we probably need to have another task force call for those of you that are on it. Make sure that we
Give
get
us a
Anna.
little time to read this and
Exactly.
come up with
Yeah, like things like, you know, environmental sustainability. I mean, you know, 20 years ago, that was not an issue.
Right, this,
Um,
and these are going to be regulations which we can update more often than we can go to the legislature, so, and it basically, we're going to work it into where it supplements what's in the statute. Doesn't contradict it, you can't contradict it.
No, it just specifies.
Yeah, because like I said, a lot of this is more specific.
Did you darken and underline these words, or?
No.
That's,
This came back- this
that's
was
how
right.
it means it.
Right, so that's why. Well, thank you, Anna. I appreciate you finding that info.
This is helpful.
I didn't realize it had been updated recently.
And actually, is, I must comment, it looks very good. It seems to me to add to the definitions we had already.
Things that are evolving, like,
Right.
like environmental sustainability,
Yeah, all those
And
big
they
words.
updated it after they did their, what do they call it?
practice analysis.
Yes, thank you.
Yes. So they've acted on the other, but they do have the things we were looking for also. So,
Yeah, every 5 years, so NCADQ does practice analysis.
These are, information for the current fiscal year, expenditures and budgets and income. On the next page, you have a projected budget for the following year, which has been outlined. It's very little difference as far as the information from the previous year's budget, with the exception of some areas that we addressed. It's all self-explanatory. If you have any questions about it, we'll see if we can.
Well, thank you for getting this to us, so that we
Well,
can
we felt
thoroughly
like
review it. Right.
it needed to go out so it could be reviewed, and if there were any questions, they needed to be brought forth and to be done.
And this needs to be
Can
approved.
we do two separate motions, one to approve the current year where we are, and then one to approve the fiscal budget?
Do we have a motion to approve the fiscal year-to-date report? Do you have a second?
A second.
Do we have any questions on that report? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. The second motion that we'd like to have is the proposed budget for 2012 and 2013. So we'll need a motion to approve that budget. Do we have a second on that? Any questions on that? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. And thank you, Bob and Sandy. That was a very well done report, so. Bob, do you have anything else on that? Review of applications of licensed interior designer status. And I was speaking with Sandy about this, and NCIDQ has just recently published the results, right? So
Yes.
have we gotten
The
any?
results just came out last week, so everybody is, I've spoken with several people, they just didn't get their applications in on time. We have one person who sat for the exam, that did get their application in on time, and her name is Stephanie, and I'll pass her, she went to LSU.
And what was her name?
Stephanie Hempler.
So there will be some more coming at the next meeting. It's just that because NCIDQ results just came out, they didn't have time to apply. So I'm expecting several more next meeting.
Yeah, it was just like at the beginning of last week, I think, that they got their test results. As a matter of fact, it's so new, I haven't even gotten the Louisiana scores yet.
So you should be expecting that shortly, then, right?
Ken was at Neocon, and he said when he got back from Neocon, that did come, so he should be back in.
Right. Yeah, because Neocon is over yesterday, I believe.
Yesterday or today, the latest.
Looks like she graduated from LSU.
Yes, she graduated from LSU in 2009. Everything's on the file. Or her application is complete, I should say.
Joanne.
Good thing we gave Joanne that one to down.
I'm trying to dig through
All CEUs. So everybody's got a list of the similar by design current courses that are available. And, I just thought, when we talked folks, everybody could just have a look. There's a couple of them that I had thought, they're all like 2 hours, so we're gonna have to lump together as we have done before, like 2.5, something like that, have them, do a 1 hour course on something. Yeah, they can customize things, right. So there's quite a long list. I had noted the Silver Tsunami, one affecting universal design is something that we might want to consider. We have done aging in place, but it's been a while. And this is, a little bit more comprehensive, not just aging in place per se. I thought that was an interesting way to look at it. But the air inside, understanding indoor air quality.
That's funny, interesting.
Yeah, we've never really done anything like that, but it's, let me see, I should have marked them, oh, there it is.
It's on page 3/4. 3/4. I also like this textiles and flammability.
You know, we've done that a couple of
Yeah, we
times,
just-
but it's been a while.
They just did that one for us last year,
Oh, last year, I think.
Or year before last.
So would the idea be to put a couple of these together, like the Silver Tsunami and the air inside?
That's what I was thinking. Did you see also, Carolyn, on the first page, new seminars for 2012, they have an aging in place
Yes,
of my choice, the latest information and resources.
yes.
Where's that one?
That's number
Page
1.
It's right
Page 1 is new.
on page 1,
The new
Okay.
new
seminars.
seminars.
Actually,
Oh,
I
I'm
do
seeing others.
believe that there was, and I didn't print that page, but more information on those new seminars.
Like when you, if you just go to Seminars by Design, the homepage has the new seminars, updated. And,
Yes.
are these alphabetical?
Yeah, they're alphabetical. This one's
Okay,
page
yeah.
three.
Yeah.
Well, we should do the one that's, the newest one, you know.
Oh, it has checklists for your projects. I love checklists.
Because you're doing projects for aging people.
Yeah, we need to remember. She said that, I did.
I know, but she wouldn't be using the checklist.
I've been using checklists for years, I think it's perfect.
And then there's the air inside updated, so they've got that one updated as well, so that might, those, I mean, I thought that those would be interesting.
So that would be 4
That
hours
would be
right
4
there.
hours.
One in four?
Yes,
Yeah.
of the new
Are
seminars.
the new seminars?
And then we just would have to add another hour. I've got one here, understanding barrier-free ADA and ADA updates and residential, that's,
What numbers, or what,
that's the last page, is that
the last page?
It's always good to include a little something, you know, on code without going overboard, but that's understanding barrier-free ADA and ADA updates and residential. The fire marshal has been giving, in different locations around the state, an ADA, ABA course, because March the 15th of this year was the date that, the new codes became effective. And the ADA just means that it's all the codes which relates to federal jobs. So that's what that's all about. So it's just sort of they finally got around really to approving and adopting the 2006 code.
Well, maybe we should ask the fire marshal to come and do a 1
An
hour.
hour, kind of
Yeah.
highlight.
Kind of highlights all those codes.
And that wouldn't be over burdensome in terms of.
No, they actually have someone who goes out and does a lot of the seminars for
Yeah,
them,
so
so.
we can do
And
that.
they want to do that, they want to get the
We
word
can do
out.
that for Baton Rouge, but the fire marshal's office is not available for the Shreveport CEs on
Well, then
Saturdays.
Put something in for their 1 hour that's different, we've done that before.
Yes.
Okay.
So how does that all sound? I
That
just
sounds
thought we should really kind of tackle this right away, because this is already June, and we're looking at
No,
trying
I appreciate you doing that.
to do something for
So-
September, October.
Remind me what the schedule is for the fall seminars? Where,
We don't have dates or anything yet,
but I mean, locations.
Baton Rouge and Shreveport. So what I was gonna do is, after you guys, agreed on seminars, I'll contact Donna and Tom about potential dates.
Okay.
But I'm thinking like September, October, but it's not too early to book venues or.
No, it's not.
No, not at all.
That's why I wanted
Yeah.
us to tackle this way today. So can I just make a motion? I move that we do 2 hours of the new aging in place of my choice, 2 hours of the air inside updated, and 1 hour about the barrier-free ABA codes for the Baton Rouge seminar, and then for the Shreveport one, we would select, maybe, there's one called Shining the Spotlight on Daylighting. We could do something like that for 1 hour in Shreveport. If Tom and Donna can make it into a 1 hour course or something like that. Shining the Spotlight on Daylighting, how does that one sound to you guys?
That sounds good. How do you think they'll like it in Shreveport?
Who knows?
There's also a green one, today's designer, green and universal. If you think they'd like a green design one more than the lighting on it.
Green design is getting a bad name.
Bob is touchy.
But
I said Bob is touchy on the subject of green design.
I'm not that,
well, I just think
Well,
it's
it's just-
it's ridiculous
it's a marketing
how
scheme.
it's being pushed.
It's a marketing scheme.
It's a marketing scheme, I know that, but I don't think it's up to us to push it.
Okay, well, let's leave it where I had it then. if that's
Shining
all
the
right.
spotlight on daylight.
For Shreveport.
Okay.
What is, by the way, the new Architectural Barriers Act of 2004? They have a 1 hour,
Where are you?
that's on page 3, like 4.
New Architectural Barriers Act.
I was just curious about it.
You know, that could be,
Oh, that's ADA, and being early on it.
yeah, like,
The fall home and garden show materials, we kind of talked about that a
oh,
little
that's not on
earlier.
our agenda.
Oh, it's not, I'm sorry.
Let me check that off. The next thing is officer elections.
Okay. Okay, so we have officer elections for 2012, and currently on the chairman, the vice chairman is TL, right? And treasurer is Bob, and secretary is Bill. Do we have any nominations from the floor?
And I move that people just keep their positions because they've done such a good job.
Do we have a second on that motion? Any more discussion on it?
Do any of the current board members object?
Does it die from the lack of a second?
No, you got a second.
Oh, you got a second, okay.
Too late. Too late,
Too
Bob.
late for that. Yeah. Do you object?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next meeting date, July the 26th.
I have already booked for this room.
Okay. Well, I think this is very convenient, now that I know how to find it.
Yeah, I was impressed we didn't call for elections today.
I had printed them out. Is that date still good with everybody?
I think so. I'm not sure.
I have a motion to adjourn.
We may have a chance to go to Florida, but I'm not sure.
Okay, well, let's all check our calendars and
Okay.
make sure that that's still going to okay, so the next meeting date is tentatively July the 26th, here. Does anybody have any other discussion? Great, so we will move along to the next meeting with our to-do lists. A motion to adjourn? And I don't think I need a second.
You don't need a second. When everybody leaves, that
Adverse